You ever notice how eliminated in pop never really means gone? Dream Academy told us the story ends at the finale. However, HYBE and Geffen just told us not quite. A second global girl group is forming. The lineup is almost locked, and the twist is brutal in its simplicity. 3 familiar faces are already in. And the last spot? A single seat? Reserved for Japan. Picked on camera, the question is obvious. If exits aren't exits, what do survival shows even mean now? They're calling the selection process World Scout, the final piece. Auditions rolled across Japan in late summer, local training hits first, then a US camp, and the debut target is 2026. It's tight, efficient, and perfectly timed to piggyback on Cat's Eye's heat. And unlike the sprawling uncertainty of an open-ended survival show, this one is hyper-specific. A 4-member team with 3 already revealed and 1 more chosen in a televised rush for the final piece. The message is clear. This isn't a fishing expedition. It's a laser-guided hunt. Here's where it gets spicy. The reveals didn't tiptoe in. They were dropped like confirmations. The words member reveal were stamped across the posts, igniting instant fandom math. Not maybe, not candidate, member. The names landed like deja vu. Emily Calavo, Samara Sikera, Lexi Levin. And just like that, a brand new group already felt strangely familiar, like flipping to a new chapter where all the characters were in your head already, just placed in a different story. Emily was the one that made people stop scrolling. She was the almost being given 9th place at the Dream Academy finale. A judge's darling, a fan magnet, and the trainee people kept wishing they could edit back into the ending. When her reveal hit, timelines filled with the same thought dressed in different words. It wasn't over, it was regrouping. And that member reveal caption, it triggered a simple reaction, validation. The audience's what-ifs crystallized into a single story beat, the comeback you can point to. No prologue required. What makes Emily compelling isn't just the result, it's her trajectory. She was the gritty worker bee with a small frame and big engine. She had a knack for adding lift to any formation, which both fans and judges noticed. The docuseries froze her close-ups into cultural memory. And when she missed the cut, it stung because it felt like a math error, not a narrative twist. Her return flips that feeling on its head. It suggests the system kept the receipts. It remembered where the performance delta came from, and it chose not to waste it. That isn't mercy. That's resource management disguised as redemption. But the second reveal wasn't a safe one. Samara is the charisma that shines from the back row, laser sharp, elastic on stage, and the type of performer who can sell a mid-tempo like it's a finale. However, her reveal also carries baggage that never fully went away. Those 2023 TikTok likes, screenshotted and circulated, interpreted by some as anti-Indian and politicized around the Israel-Palestine crisis. Although the likes went private, a corporate statement never really arrived and the discourse didn't die. Instead, it went dormant, which resurfaced the very instant her name did. For some, that's a red line. For others, it's a teachable moment with a talented teen at the center. Either way, the reveal wasn't neutral. It was a spark. This is where reality competition shows blur into real life. Fans don't scroll past ethical discomfort just because the algorithm is smooth. They argue, they organize, and they remember. Companies know this, which means choosing Samara wasn't ignorance. It was a calculation. The upside is obvious. A high-ceiling performer with built-in awareness. The risk is equally obvious. Pushback that sticks to every teaser and trailed by comment sections that never forget. That's not press theory. It's the internet's weather pattern. If HYBE and Geffen want clear skies, they'll need more than silence. They'll need visible media training, personal accountability moments, and a rollout that moves the conversation from screenshots to onstage reality without pretending the screenshots never existed. Then came Lexi. Her plot twist is that she is the one who walked away. On the docu-series, her exit illustrated a boundary drawn in thick marker with the words, "This environment isn't me." She passed a mission, stared down the machine, and tapped out anyway. For some, that was grit. For others, it was proof she never wanted this format in the first place. Fast forward to 2025, and suddenly she's back. But not as a contestant, but as an already stamped member. On cue to the whiplash, netizens' reactions were split into 2 sides. In one camp, they claimed growth arc. In the other, they called it hypocrisy. In the middle lies a truer thing. Young artists change. They recalibrate. Sometimes leaving is the only way to return with intention, but the camera doesn't always catch that part. So what's the bigger game here? Let's address the complaint you see everywhere. If eliminated contestants debut later, what was the point of the survival show? Fans aren't wrong to ask, since the whole hook of a survival series is the stakes. Tears on cut nights, the math of rankings, and the adrenaline of scarcity. If everyone you recognize pops up in a different group 2 years later, did the stakes evaporate? Or did we misunderstand the product? The harsher answer is that the show is not the destination, it's the sorting function. It builds heat, compresses narratives, and helps companies identify who sticks to the screen. From Jeon So-mi to Soyeon to Lee Chae-yeon, the pattern is old. Survival shows are not courts issuing final verdicts. They're scanners for identifying potential stars. If you look at it from the company's side, the logic is painfully clean. Training isn't cheap, narrative equity isn't free. When the audience already cares, why start from zero? Music business worldwide framed it as leveraging prior investment. Talent already tested, stories already told. It's not romantic, but it's rational, and it reveals a cool truth. Elimination Night doesn't close the book. It loads the sequel. Now zoom into the format choice that everyone's talking about. Japan as the final piece. This isn't random. Japan is a massive recorded music market with loyal physical buyers, powerful local media ecosystems, and a cross-border pop appetite that's shaped K-pop for decades. Planting a seat for a Japanese member via a Japanese platform, HYBE'S, turns the search into a national storyline, not just a casting call. It localizes the hero's journey. It captures press cycles in 2 languages. And it builds a bridge from day one. Japan trained first, then Los Angeles for finishing, then a US-facing debut with built-in Japanese fandom acting like a booster rocket. That's not just representation, that's go-to-market architecture. But there's a scarier question under all of this, one that Cat's Eye puts in bold. Can HYBE and Geffen run 2 global girl groups without cannibalizing attention? Cat's Eye didn't just debut and disappear. They doubled down, showed up on big stages, and kicked off an era that looks less like a proof of concept and more like a blueprint. Launching a second act this fast is a flex saying, we can scale this. But it also sets a trap. If marketing cycles collide, if music lanes blur, if release calendars clip each other's wings, you get internal competition dressed up as label diversity. The fix is lane separation, sonically, visually, and ideologically. Cat's Eye is already painted as sleek, athletic, clean lines, and high-gloss edges. The new group needs an opposite gravity. Maybe grittier textures, sharper storytelling, and a more subcultural accent, so fans don't feel like they're just switching jerseys. The rollout so far hints at that separation. Prelude. The final piece reads as a frame, a prologue you can step into. The name suggests tension before ignition. The visuals lean stark and serious. More last puzzle lock than fireworks already popped. And those member reveal captions, they're assertive by design. You don't say member unless you want the fandom to lock its eyes and start future tripping. That's momentum engineering in 4 words. It's also a promise the music will need to keep. Still, the human stuff is the volatile fuel. Emily arrives with underdog energy and judge score receipts. That's stabilizing. Samara brings a fault line that could crack any announcement cycle into 2 parallel conversations. That's destabilizing unless managed with care, humility, and time. Lexi adds a meta-narrative about agency. Leaving on principle, returning on purpose. That's complicated, but complications make the camera look longer. None of this guarantees greatness. It guarantees interest. And in pop, interest is a gravity well. Keep it for long enough, and you get to choose where the story goes. What happens next is a test of pace. One advantage of a 4-member group is clarity. You can hear each voice, memorize each face, and understand each role. But a quartet is also exposed. There's nowhere to hide a flat note or a shallow concept. That's why the Japan first training window matters. It's a chance to build a compact team into a tight mechanism. No filler, no weak link, no scaffolding lines in the choreography that don't earn their spot. If HYBE and Geffen use that time to carve a distinctive sound, something that doesn't feel like Cat's Eye's B-sides, the audience will feel it instantly. Expect a few things. First, a concept teaser that refuses to mimic Cat's Eye's palette. Not just different colors, but also different storytelling physics. Second, songwriting credits that sneak a curveball into Western pop norms, a structure shift, an unexpected middle 8, and a hook that turns on movement rather than words. Third, PR choreography around Samara's re-entry, where interviews address the controversy instead of ducking it. No comment will look like no care. A measured human approach will look like growth. And if Lexi speaks candidly about why she came back, if she gives people the missing paragraph, skeptics will at least understand the arc, even if they don't buy the ending yet. Meanwhile, Cat's Eye isn't going anywhere. Their footprint is expanding, not shrinking. That's the other half of the equation. Labels don't launch a second rocket because the first sputtered. They launch it because the first broke atmosphere. The calculus is heat begets heat. The risk is shadow begets shadow. So watch the calendar. If the new group's big moments stack too near cat's eye milestones, fans will resent the overlap. If the spacing feels respectful and the lanes feel distinct, fandoms will learn to multitask without feeling cheated. It's a delicate kind of choreography that never shows up on a stage, but it determines whether stages fill. There's a poetic irony to calling the final member the final piece. In pop, there is no final piece. There are only next moves. But the metaphor matters because it asks a deeper question. What does completion feel like? For Emily, maybe it's hearing the door unlock that didn't open last time. For Samara, maybe it's walking through the fire of public memory and not flinching. For Lexi, maybe it's choosing the machine on her own terms. For the as-yet unnamed Japanese member, maybe it's carrying a national story onto a global stage and being more than a flag on the roster. So, do survival shows still matter? Absolutely. They build glare, they teach the camera your name. But the finish line isn't fixed to a finale date. It moves. And HYBE and Geffen, whatever you think of their methods, understand movement. They're not erasing the stakes, they're repurposing them. The show burns bright. The projects that follow decide whether the heat becomes light or just smoke. The bet is bold. The fans are louder than ever. The music is the only referee that counts. If the songs hit hard enough, if the performances feel necessary, every subplot you've heard today reduces to background noise. And if they don't, then the most final thing about the final piece will be the reminder that no amount of clever framing can replace a chorus that lives in your head rent-free. But that's the thrill here. The last seat is still empty, the camera is already rolling, and the next time those four walk onto a stage together, all the what-ifs turn into a single moment you can replay. Until then, one truth stands. In this system, stories don't end, they pivot, and we all lean in to watch which way they turn.